Probably is.
All right. I'm gonna kind of go off what he was talking about for Marx, but I'm gonna talk more about alienation and gender. Marx thought that individuals, because of the capitalism, individuals would exist for business and profits. He thought that capitalism kind of set restraints on humans, and thought that because of capitalism, humans couldn't fulfill their full potential. It would select certain skills and certain abilities that it would accept, but there was others that it didn't accept, and there were some that it could adjust and adapt to certain things. And like he was saying about the surplus value, the surplus value was really high in capitalism. So since there was such a high surplus, eventually capitalists would want to develop world markets and go overseas and start capitalism over there just to kind of get rid of that surplus. And kind of the alienation part of it, it also affected everybody. In here it says that the capitalist system is bourgeois oriented because it benefits the middle class economically. As for alienation, however, even the bourgeois suffers, for at the root of the system is unjust to all participants, whatever their economic status. And then it goes into saying what Marx says, the bourgeoisie, by the rapid improvement of all instruments of production, by the immensely facilitated means of communication, draws all, even the most barbarian nations, into civilization. It compels all nations, on pain of extinction, to adopt the bourgeois mode of production. It compels them to introduce what it calls civilization into their midst, i.e. to become bourgeois themselves. And then it kind of goes into talking about how I was saying about when there's such a high surplus value, they'll look to develop world markets. And then to kind of go into gender, Marx believed that the relationship between men and women is a natural one and is the source of the original biological division of labor. He thought at first women were free, independent, and indeed rather powerful until late into the trivial era. Group marriage was the basic relationship between the sexes, and children were considered descendants of the female, and this was a system called matriarchy or mother right. Then couples began to replace marriages, and metal tools replaced stone implements. Women cared for the home while men cleared the forest, domesticated animals, and produced food and tools. And obviously during that's going to develop a surplus value, so the men are going to then, they're going to say, oh, well, I do more work, so then I should be in charge. And later that was going to develop, seeking to pass on the new wealth to descendants, patriarchy or father right was instituted to replace mother right. Insisting that they had to be sure who their offspring were, men established sexual fidelity as a key aspect of the patriarchal family. And then kind of go into a little bit more about gender. The bourgeois women are better off than the proliterate counterparts, at least as far as social standing, promise for their children, and availability of creature comforts are concerned. This gives them a class interest in maintaining capitalism, even as they have a gender interest in abolishing it, since private property is at the root of their oppression in the patriarchal family. Proletarian women experience no such conflicting interests. Wherever they turn, capitalism enslaves them, as it does their husbands and children. Proletarian marriage can be based on love, since there is no wealth or property to be gained or inherited. This circumstance deals with working-class women a different sort of blow. They are oppressed as workers, performing productive as well as reproductive labor. They work outside the home at menial jobs to increase the patents on which the family lives, even while bearing full responsibility for keeping house and raising children. The proletarian family thus produces the next generation of workers. And that's kind of it for alienation and gender. I had another topic, withering, and it doesn't really mention it that much in the book, so I didn't really want to just put it in there. But I think where that comes into play is kind of where the alienation, where because capitalism prefers certain skills, then those people, that's where the withering comes in, where people just start to feel alienated.